8th, 2023 Summers County Board of Education regular board meeting. The first item agenda is roll call. Let the minutes reflect that we have 4 members present and Mrs. Farley is unable to attend. Item 2 is our Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to ask the Summers County girls basketball team if they would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, we have approval of agenda and adjustments.
I make a motion that we pull out R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound from the bills.
Second. Have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, to pull out R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will pull R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound out and handle those separately. Any other adjustments?
Motion we approve the agenda with the aforementioned adjustments.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we approve the agenda with the previously mentioned adjustment. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the agenda with adjustments has been approved. Item 4, we have presentations. First on the list, we have Mr. Vass and the Summers County Comprehensive High School Electrical Program.
While he's doing that to run our appearance, I believe last time they couldn't be here due to a snow day. I would like to keep this weather, so good job, my man. You did a good job on the weather tonight.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Like you said, my name is Josh Bass. I am the electrical teacher here at the CTE for Summers County. Just to kind of give you an overview of the course. The purpose of our course is to prepare students for employment or higher education in the electrical field. Because this course is the equivalent of the state requirements for apprenticeship, when students complete our 1,080-hour course and meet some other requirements from the state, they will be eligible to take their exam to become a journeyman electrician. The students are given a basic background in residential, commercial, and industrial wiring. This allows them to, seek employment in these different divisions and be better prepared to take electrical engineering if they decide to do so and go to college. Time spent in this course, we try and balance between activities in the classroom and working on circuits like this in our shop. In the classroom, the students have a few main textbooks. Our curriculum is kind of structured around NCCER. They have a core curriculum book, Electrical Level 1 and Electrical Level 2. We also use the 2020 National Electric Code book. In the lab, the students build, wire, and troubleshoot lighting and power circuits. Most of their shop assignments are not just limited to the shop, but we try and get out into the community and do things, and also do things here around the school. Students need to meet the following requirements to be eligible to sit for that journeyman electrical test. They have to attain an overall grade of a B or better in the 4 state-required CTE electrical technician program of study and the 4 specialization courses that we have here. They must attain a school-verified attendance record of no more than 12 absences in both years of the program. That's together 12 total. They have to earn their OSHA 10 certification. They must pass a minimum of 2 drug screenings, score at or above the workforce entry level on their NOCTI test. So hopefully students stay interested in our course. We're doing really good so far, I think. We had a little trouble, switching between the last teacher and me. I think some of the students were worried that we may not even have a program. So I have actually 4 seniors graduating this year. All 4 are going to, they're well on their way to being able to sit for their exam. Some of the seniors that I inherited from last year, one of them were not able to take their exam, but the other three met all their requirements and everything. I actually had 16, or I had 16 students. I'm down to 14 now for this class, so we grew quite a bit, and hopefully that keeps going on. This is just an example of some of the simple stuff we do in the shop there. It's a three-way switch, which basically you got a light controlled by two different points. This would be like in your hallway, or maybe if you have a room with two doors in it, and a receptacle that's hot all the time. I think the biggest thing with my class and being able to grow in the future, I really want to have a class where the kids feel safe to be themselves. They can learn the way they learn, and it's just such a good thing to be able to show them things in class and then take them into the shop and be able to show them hands-on what I'm trying to teach them. So it's working really good. We're kind of at a crawl pace right now. I'm not moving as fast as I wanted to be because I'm taking a lot of teaching classes and learning a lot myself on that end of things. But I think with a little bit of time, we'll start making better leaps and bounds in the direction I'd like to be headed. This evening, I asked several of my second-year students to come in and talk, but between baseball and track and work and things, we've got Miss Emily Smith that wants to come up and talk to you guys a little about what the program means to her and the things she's learned.
You picked a good one there. Emily, can you keep it to an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not like my dad's preaching.
I understand. But you have a sense of humor. I appreciate that.
I brought a sandwich just in case.
Alright, so my name is Emily Smith. I'm a senior at Summers County High School, and I'm in the second year of the electrical program, and I plan to take my journeyman's in April and hopefully pass it. So here we go. The electrical theory class is a great class to take if you don't know what you're going to do when you get out of high school. We do both bookwork and shop work. It really prepares people for going into the hands-on and the trade or the workforce, things like that. Electrical is a 2-year course, and in the 2 years we cover safety procedures like OSHA 10, tools, calculations and measures, wiring, how to read blueprints, installing raceways and conduit motors, lighting, breaker boxes, grounding and bonding, and then how to read the code book. And this is the code book, huge, we despise it, it's so complicated, huge and tiny letters. All right, so it's a big book. And when we cover each topic, we go up into the shop and we put what we learned into action. And we start out with our splices, and then we do bell circuits, which is basically doorbell, things like that. And there are 7 of the circuits that we do, and then we go into our board circuits, which are like these things right here. And there are 53 of them. So we complete all of them, and usually we complete half of these board circuits and all 7 of the bell circuits that we do, and in the first year. And in the second year, we complete the rest of these, and then we work on rooms with a partner. And these cover, our board circuits cover like outlets, switches, lights, GFIs, and many different wiring. We also work a lot in the second year on the code book, because this is what our test is going to be on. Our journeyman electrician's test is on the code book. So we work a lot in this code book in the second year, preparing us to take that test. We take our test after we get an 80% grade in the class, and then we have to get an 80 on the test to get our journeyman's license. And we have to be in school for the days, as Mr. Bass talked about, and we have to be 18 years old to take the test. And after we take our test and we make all the qualifications in school and on the test, we graduate with our journeyman's electrician's license. Thank you.
Emily, there's Mr. Radford with Radford and Radford. They're always looking for electricians, aren't you?
Always.
I'm just trying to help find a job for our future. You got some people right here, guys. So keep coming back and pick. I know you do. Yeah.
I quizzed my son. I asked him if our switches in our living room were three-way or four-way, and he answered correctly. So you're doing a good job.
Thank you for.
Yep.
show-
Thank you all.
showcasing that.
Next on our, under presentations, we have Coach Chad Matter and the Summers County girls basketball team.
We appreciate you recognizing us today. We've had quite the season. We finished 23-5, which is the best season we've had since 2011. We couldn't have done it without all these young ladies. There's a few that were unable to make it tonight, but we had quite the experience the last few weeks. To put it in perspective, at the end of the basketball season across 55 counties, there's 8 teams left on championship Saturday, and they were one of those 8 teams. That's pretty special. And these girls are all homegrown girls, Summers County. Jumping Branch, Doc Fox Road, Bell Point to Hicks Mountain. They're all ours. You'll hear more about that as the days go on in the state of West Virginia. But nonetheless, we had a great season. We were able to place 5 on the AA All-State team. And that is, I don't want to say unheard of, but very uncharacteristic of sports writers to recognize that many young ladies on one basketball team. So we'll put some hardware in the trophy case. We're going to put a picture in the gym, and we're going to be forever remembered. Mr. Rapper was here in '94 building this school, and he's here to extend that, and hopefully another 20 years to do another picture or two put in the gym. So, girls want to say anything? I would like to go on record and thanks to administration. Administration is wonderful to work with throughout the season. Principals, athletic director, Ms. Blevins, she works her tail off. And, we do appreciate that. Assistant coaches had the best staff in the state of West Virginia. Rick Blevins, Jason Stover, very loyal, and couldn't do it without them. Mr. Warble, a lot of support at the central office. Missed a few board meetings here and there. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Congratulations.
Mr. Matter, your seniors, to Sully and Liv, how many seniors you got there to stay up
I
there?
have 3.
Who's your
2
third?
are here.
Yeah, those 2 girls can talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Come on. No, don't act like you can't talk. Now they can't talk? Okay, I like that. Well, can you answer this question? Do you girls like eating steak? Yeah. And I think Avery, where's Avery? She's here tonight. How many rolls did you all eat at your table? Didn't you guys have like 16 to 20?
I feel like it's irrelevant. Yeah.
Now they all act like they don't know. You already burned it off at the state championship game. I mean.
They're trying to give us another one.
Well, I'll let you guys get to a baseball game. I think this, see you. Thank you guys. Good job.
Thank you all.
I think Ms. Blevins is selling hot dogs tonight.
I'm there.
Okay, at the baseball.
Can we place an order and have it delivered? Mr. Vass, we appreciate you all coming as well, and you're welcome to stay, you and your students. However, if you all want to leave, feel free to.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna go check out the baseball.
Okay. Thank you.
That's fine.
All right. Next under presentations, we have Christina Kellen with the Summers County Public Library update.
She not here tonight?
Okay.
Okay.
So we will
I'll get her
postpone
next.
this until the next meeting. First meeting in April. Okay, the next item under presentations is Mr. Tom Worledge with McKinley and Associates and Kevin Radford with Radford and Radford.
So we were asked to come and talk a little bit about what transpired over the past few days in relationship to the concrete on the addition over here. It was reported to us that the concrete pours did not come up to strength that was required by the contract. And we reviewed the reports. We got some additional reports. We requested some additional reports. And our initial review was that the test didn't indicate that they came up to the 4,000 PSI that was indicated on the reports. Over the weekend, I did a little bit more studying and talking to structural engineers. We did a little more research and found out 3,000 PSI is all that's required for the foundation concrete strength, and all the reports were above that level. So we went back and last week we issued a letter of non-conformance to the contractor based on the SBA's requirements. And that went to the SBA, which did more of all, went to the contractors. And then after the initial shock of what was going on, we went back and looked at our structural engineers, looked at the reports, and looked at the SBA requirements. And as I said, the SBA requirements was only 3,000 PSI for foundation concrete. There were some abnormalities in the reports that we wanted to clear up. Part of that was we wanted to make sure that we got documented whether water was added to the concrete on site. It did not indicate that on the reports. And we wanted to verify the distance or the time travel between the time that the concrete was made and when it was actually poured. So those two items we indicated that we needed to do a little more work on. But the initial worry was that we'd have to go back and take the foundations back up. We do not have to do that. But we have to continue to watch the reports and make sure that the concrete comes up to the required PSI.
So it was a question that I had when we initially got the report. I was just curious, how far short did we fall?
The initial report on the reports themselves, we're identifying 4,000 PSI as the required. We were at 3,200. So it was significantly less than the initial report, but that standard that they were gauging against was incorrect.
And so who, when you say these are reports that are coming initially, who's doing those initial reports?
Those reports are being done as the contractors responsibly get those reports done, those tests, and then their tests are given to us.
And so how do we go from these are meeting the SBA standards to, oh, well, they do meet the SBA standards?
When you look at the report's face value, they indicate that they do not meet the standards on the reports. The reports indicated the base level was incorrect. So when we went back and reviewed it with our structural engineers, they said, we don't need that high a standard as was indicated on the reports. We only need 3,000 PSI.
So it was your company that originally said the 4,000?
No, it was the person doing the testing. It indicated 4,000.
So I'm saying 4,000 was what you originally felt was required.
Yes.
And was this, and was this, so when our initial plans were submitted to the SBA, was that laid out to them that the footers would meet 4,000 PSI?
The testing specification was much more stringent than what was required. And so when we specified it at a higher standard.
And so school building authority is okay with the 3,000. They've signed off on 3,000
Yes.
since
Do you have that
Friday.
documentation to say that they signed off on it?
The resolution has been given to them today, so I don't have a document from them.
And in that case, where can we find that the 3,000 PSIs is okay for the SBA? Is that on the website?
It's in their quality and performance standards.
I figured you'd ask that question, so I made a copy. It's in their website.
Yeah.
Is that a B for 5? Sorry. Okay, it's under section 5 on the website. Where's it for? Okay.
Yeah. There's a copy of the
Sorry.
same.
So there's a PSI on there for the foundation at 4,000, there's one at 3,000. So I am not an engineer. I don't even want to go down that road. That's why I have everybody here to talk about what the requirements are in code and then what they came to for a decision. That's why I have everybody here tonight.
We're probably not at 28 days yet, and the PSI actually gains over time, is it not?
These are 28-day reports.
These are, okay.
The reports that we receive are 28 days, but the concrete does get harder over time.
Yeah, that's what
And so as the time goes on, the concrete actually gets stronger. Somebody could discuss how much stronger. We asked for actually we was volunteered to do some additional testing on the concrete to make sure it meets the standards.
Here with me tonight is Joe Kubin. Joe Kubin is a project manager on the project here in Summers County, and he's very involved in all the day-to-day and everything, as most everyone in our office. This gentleman is Jay McCartney. He is, I guess, president of Central Supply, the concrete supplier, and he's here tonight to address any questions that you folks may have. We've met and we've asked Central Supply to beef up their mix and give us a stronger concrete, if you will. We've gone over in a great deal of detail how we want to further test the concrete. But the concrete that's on the site in the foundations now does meet the design requirements of what's required by SBA, and I feel sure of the engineers that did the design. So everything there is good.
You also have the president from Central Concrete, Mr. Dwayne McCartney, right?
Yes.
I just want to make sure I say the last name right.
Dwayne McCartney, yeah.
And he's here to, I just want all parties to be here. We have our clerk.
Do we have any idea of what happened to not to meet the 4,000, and how can we make sure that that doesn't happen?
Yeah, I can talk to that a little bit. Basically, concrete's, our designs as submitted they did have a history behind them. Had they not, we wouldn't have submitted those. And so I've been in the concrete business now 42 years. Started driving a truck many years ago, worked my way up through, and I'm not, a concrete scientist, but I do know a lot about it. And so ACI actually provides, that's our governing body as far as testing and that sort of thing. They provide rules and guidelines that we kind of go by. Number one, do the original design and make sure strengths and all that's right. So what I've seen over the years is that there is a rare occasion where something like this will come up. And in most instances, never did, figure out 100% for sure. But what I did is Kevin and company were gracious enough to meet us in the office yesterday. And we talked through a lot of different things. Typically what happens, the planets kind of align perfectly. And, a lot of things contribute to, the low strengths. And to your point, the concrete will gain strength over time. And at some point, I feel sure that it'll meet that 4,000 PSI, but it just didn't meet it at 28 days. But it'll continue to hydrate for years as long as that moisture remains. And so, at some point, it'll definitely be there. I will tell you that pretty typical for us to see a 3,000 in footings, not a 4,000. So we were a little bit surprised that was the specification to begin with. And that's what we shot for, but, you know, the mixes did miss that. And I think we only had one, sample that was at that 3,200 mark, and
That's
the
right.
others are a little higher, as I recall.
Like 38.
Yeah. So, not a horrible miss, but, you know, it did miss. And certainly, you know, we checked our quality control, we checked a lot of different things. We talked to Kevin and Joe about their job site, you know, scenarios and things that everybody can kind of tighten up on, and I feel that we can mitigate it moving forward. And you know what, we basically, and just to put it honest to you, we have zero to gain by sending you out a mix that doesn't meet, the specifications. I mean, it could turn into a costly thing for everybody, and, you know, we're sort of a, you know, we're absolutely a solutions-based company. We want things to go right. We've been doing this a long time. Central Supply was formed in 1915, so we have a lot of experience, you know, on different jobs, and Radford and Raff certainly great partners with Central Supply Company and have been for many years. Before us, Boxley. So we got a long track record. So, but that's kind of in a nutshell, an overview. And certainly if you have additional questions, I'll try to answer those or get you an answer.
I don't feel like we're being too bad, but we're simply asking questions because 20 years from now, you've got a crack from top to bottom down the block line. It's because of foundation. We're the board that said you have to go ahead.
I truly understand. That's why I'm here tonight, is to, you know, to answer those questions that you have, so.
And if I may interject, I think to date, we've had 11 pours, 11 separate days that we've poured. And 3 of those, out of those 11 days, are at a deficient level as far as hitting 4,000 PSI. The rest of them right now haven't been to the 28-day mark, but they are trending as if they will hit. We actually had a 7-day break. So on the testing, when it comes to testing compressive strength, you have one at 7 days, one at 14 days, and one at 28 days, okay? And it will trend higher each time. Typically, 7 days is 70 to 80% of the overall. So if it's 4,000 PSI, it should be breaking somewhere around 3,200, 3,000 to 3,200. So it's a early gauge. One of the breaks we had was 4,100 PSI at 7 days. Several others are in the 34 to 3,600 range. So we feel like overall, most of these are going to hit the 4,000 at 28 days, but we've had 3 that have failed, which we reported at the last progress meeting, which has started this conversation. And I'm in agreement that we have one at just under 35. I think it's 3470. Another one came in 38 something, and I believe, Tom, you said 32 and change. So the 38, I mean, that could have been just a few more days, and it would have broke it 4,000. So overall, you know, I feel confident in both the concrete that we have hitting that number. It may take a little longer than the specified 28 days in our testing specification, but I believe we're there. And as Dwayne was saying, they're making a few minor mix adjustments to add just a little more cement to the ratio, which will help it strengthen. We've talked about one of the things that we're going to battle here a little bit is just the length of time it takes from getting from the plant to here. So we had in our discussions yesterday of some alternatives, some things that we can add to the mixture to help slow that reaction time down so it doesn't start so early. And then quite honestly, just some things that we need to do on site to make sure we can get the concrete out of the truck quicker. So I think between those 3 combinations and with Tom and his team doing the research that they needed to do, which I'm sure they've looked at design loads of the building, the actual weight of the building, and the necessary strength of concrete just for the weight of the building. And then as well as the BSA spec of 3,000. So overall, I feel very confident of where we're at.
Yeah, just to let you know, we had our structural engineers go back and look at the loads, applied loads to those foundations. We didn't just say it's okay. We looked at the applied loads to those foundations to verify that the loads could be handled with the 3,000 PSI standard.
What is the thickness of the footers? What are they reinforced with?
They're about a foot thick. We've got
Double.
double.
So rebar is measured as a number 6/4, and that would be 6/8 of an inch. So 3/4 inch round, or 4s would be 4/8 half inch. So it's a double mat. So there's 3 longitudinal bars that run the length of the footer. And then there's crossbars every 2 feet, I believe.
Every 12 inches.
Every 12 inches. And then there's 2 mats of that. So there's 2 rows of that reinforcement. And that's in the small walls, what we call the small walls. When you get to the gymnasium, it actually even gets bigger than that.
Is there a certain requirement, strength requirement for the floors being poured as well?
That's 4,000
4,000 for that?
for the slabs, and we're watching the slabs
And 4,500 for the exterior from your email, correct?
for the exterior, yes.
Sidewalks, curbs, things of that nature.
So you can see that
Steps.
this is the rebar cage.
And the widths will vary,
The width
depending
will
on
vary
the,
based on the applied load. You're actually better safe than most projects that we do. We can actually use a spread footing. Most projects in West Virginia, we're not using spread footings. We're using cast piles or caissons or something else.
Okay, so, just looking over this, section 4 here, and this is school building authority.
That comes off their website, and that's the policy that they have,
So,
the specs, if you will.
under foundations, under number 6, minimum concrete compression strength shall be 3,000 PSI. I think we pretty well handled that one tonight. But I did flip over to the next page. It says interior concrete minimum. This is talking about a slab on grade. So we already have a slab.
Mhm.
Have we done any testing? I know we're probably right over the 14-day range.
Yeah, so 14 days should break Thursday or Friday this week, so we wouldn't have test results back till next week.
And that is required to be 4,000 PSI.
Correct.
This.
And our next scheduled meeting would be that Tuesday, then, after that,
Yes.
because we didn't have it tonight, but we're kind of meeting again, so that'll be our next meeting. We should know that data.
Should know that 14-day break number, yes.
And that will give us an indication of what we should expect at 28 days. No guarantee, but what we should expect.
Sure. Through a trend line, we should.
Can you pass that information to Mr. Wool?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is what that book's about, all our meetings, yeah.
So while you're thinking of that, on this issue alone, in the 7 and 14 days, where was it trending on that to send the alert flag that, hey, this isn't moving in the right direction?
On the footers?
Yeah.
The test results, well, let me look here so I can speak correctly.
And at what point, with those testing, if it indicated that we weren't going to get 3,000 or 4,000, at what point was that issue raised?
So the lowest one, that was 3,220, which was the lowest one. At the 14 day, it was testing at 3,070. So, it was getting there. And at 28 day, it came to 3270, and then 180, and then 3220. So it was indicating that it was going to meet the requirement. It was already at the 3,000 minimum. It's indicating that would meet the 4,000.
So you said that this has been submitted to the SBA? That was
Yes.
done today?
The resolution of the, yes, that's been submitted.
And you probably dealt with this in the past on previous jobs. How long does it normally take them to respond back?
Oh, they'll give me a response back tomorrow.
So you'll-
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't give me a call back today. So, I'd like to say that, we worked all together to make this happen. And we were thinking about the worst and then came back and kind of regrouped and did the testing to figure out if there's a better way of doing it. So,
And basically, I think, to me, I want to help with, I'm not gonna do this fighting with people. I'd rather everybody come together. We all want the same thing. We want a building out there for the kids in the community. And if you have all these players, if we all have this conversation, you learn a lot when you go through this on specs and what's allowed and what's not. Because I don't know until I go onto a website, check out more stuff with the SBA, their requirements, talk to McKinley, talk to Concrete, I mean, you just learn a lot about what is acceptable and what's not. But I'm like you, Mr. Brogan, there'll be a plaque on there with your name on it. And if something goes wrong, you're right, someone will let you know about it. And the last thing you want is a safety issue, and I think we all agree. Bradford did this job here, Chad was a senior at that time, now he's here talking about state basketball. It's kind of cool how that works out, and I want that to happen for the future as well as you guys, but this was the best way I knew that we could all get together and discuss it.
I thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Brogan said, I don't think we're too hard on you, but we just need to.
Understand.
Everything's gonna be good, so.
I understand.
Thank you, guys. You're more than welcome to stay, but like we gave everybody else an out, it's your call.
Thank you.
Roll out of here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Coming. Well, so. Safe trip. Oh, thank you. What's that? I will. Thank you.
So, thanks. See you.
Yep. It's your call.
Next item, we have public comments. So we do have someone who would like to speak. We do have, just so you're aware, we do have a policy on public comments. And since you were not here previous, I think it would be best if the board as a whole took this on because we would be going against our policy. So what's your name, sir? Your name? Daniel Hankins. Hankins. Okay, so as a board, Mr. Hankins would like to speak before the board, but because our policy states that they need to be here prior to the board, it would take a motion from someone to go ahead and override our board policy. So would anyone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to allow Mr. Hankins to make his public comment.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we will let Mr. Hankins address us in public comments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So let the minutes reflect by a 5-0 vote, we will override our public comment policy.
Say 4 or 5.
4. I probably did say 5.
Okay,
4, yeah. So I will just say that with public comment, as our policy indicates, just don't mention names of staff or students. If any names are mentioned, you can speak about the overall issue, but if any names are mentioned at that point, we'll have to stop public comments. They could also go into.
Actually has him here,
Okay.
which is the brother of these two on behalf of his mother.
Mm-hmm.
That way he can talk about these guys too, during the whole situation, because my daughter's issue that I want to address you guys about is the same issue they're having too.
Okay. Do we need to, we can't go into executive session, can we?
5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, and it's a 5-minute limit on it, so.
My biggest concern is I went to the principals here, I went to the Board of Education, I've actually talked to, I can't remember the guy in the room code. And I'm actually here because the superintendent told me to come up here and talk to you guys. I want to address bullying in the schools and nothing being done about it. And one of the bullying is actually being done by a teacher. After I went and talked to him and stuff, the next week, my daughter started getting more detention. Over the next 3 weeks, it escalated to where she was getting detention once a day for stupid stuff. Like she got detention for running the hall. When I addressed the principal about it, he told me that they didn't know who gave her the detention, but she still had to do it. And my daughter got a letter from another student and stuff. Everyone said nothing could be done about it, threatening to beat her up. I came up here, I talked. She gave the student's name to the principal and stuff. They talked to the student, she admitted to doing it. She was still in all the classes with my daughter, which meant she got into no trouble over it and stuff. And when I first started talking to the principal about it, he referred to the letter threatening to beat my daughter up as the girl defending herself against my daughter talking smack about her. I've been everywhere else, nobody's doing nothing. The two over there are also getting bullied by one of the teachers, the same teacher. They went to the counselors, the vice principal, the principal. Nothing's being done about it. And I have 9 other kids that are friends with them that would come up here and talk to you too about the same situation. They're being bullied by other kids and nothing's being done about it. And I'm really concerned about that. Because one of the girls actually came to me and stuff because her parents were out of town talking about how bad the teacher made her feel. And she didn't tell me exactly what happened, but like my daughter, the teacher looked at my daughter. Yeah, she's 13, she's coming to the thing, she has a little bit of order. She wears the order. The teacher in front of the whole class, and you can ask two over there, they'll even say that and stuff, told her, well, you stink. If you need deodorant, come talk to me. I'm pretty sure we can find a way to get you some. In front of the whole class. My daughter didn't want to go to school for the next 2 days. My daughter hasn't been in school for the past week and a half because she's terrified of coming, of what she's getting in trouble for next. Because of nobody's doing nothing in the higher ups and stuff. The teacher that my daughter had issues with, I asked them to take her out of the class and stuff. They did it for a week. My daughter started going back to school, started having fun again, wanting to go to school. They put her back in the class with the teacher. My daughter did not want to go to school no more. Like, she'd rather go and have 5 COVID tests done a day than come here to school. And last year, she was on the honor roll here. And it's just because nothing's being done. She don't want to come to school because she's getting bullied by students and teachers. She's going to the counselor. Counselor says there's nothing they can do. Going to the vice principal, to the principal. And they're all telling her there's nothing that they can do about it. How is that possible? Because the federal government has an anti-bullying law. And I've talked to a couple other parents about it, and they tell me that their kids are having the same problems with being bullied. Like my daughter, I am a former Marine, I'm a former police officer, I'm a Golden Gloves boxer, I'm a black belt Taekwondo. I taught my daughter how to fight. She won't fight here unless she's put into a corner. But that's what it's coming to. Either she has to stay at home and do school in there, or she's going to have to come here and actually have to fight somebody and hurt them. You know, and I don't think that's right. My daughter should be scared to come to school. There's the other lady saying over there, she's the same way. She don't want to come to school because she gets in trouble for nothing. Like, my daughter, since Thursday hasn't been in school. I've kept her out till I came out here to talk to you because one of the vice principals, I came and got her because she was upset, looked at her and said, did you really tell so-and-so teacher that you left your phone up here? She goes, yeah, because she yelled at me for having it in the hall, and I don't think that's fair. She goes, well, that's okay. When you come back, your father lets you come back to school, she goes, we'll talk about how many days of detention you get. Because my daughter had her phone out in the hallway and she was told to take it to the office. But yeah, 2 people right next to her, one of the girls over there is one of them, and another one of her friends, the other, had their phones out and nothing was said to them about it.
So the 5 minutes are up.
Okay, thank you.
We, as aboard because this is not on the agenda, we can't have a conversation.
I understand.
But I do encourage you to continue through the channels, and try to get some resolution.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item 6, approval of minutes. We have before us no minutes to be approved because the last meeting was recessed. That was easy. Yes. So, item 7, approval of bills. See you, Mr. Brown. All right, we have before us bill for R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound.
I make a motion, we pay R.T. Rogers safe and sound.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, that we pay R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Let the minutes reflect by 3-0 vote that R.T. Rogers and Safe and Sound has been approved for payment. Okay, we have before us now the remainder of the bills.
Make a motion to pay the remaining bills.
Second. We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pay the remaining of the bills. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Let the minutes reflect by 4-0 vote that the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. Item 8, new business, approved purchases over $20,000. Great. We have item 8B, discussion or possible action regarding selection of an auditor by an outside firm for fiscal year 23, 24, and 25.
I'll have, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so each year you all have a selection of using an outside CPA firm or using.
Chad, you should have taken it with you.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so each year you have an option of selecting an outside CPA firm or going with the state for your audit. I do know on there that it is suggested for 3 years. You can put out a bid for a 3-year period. In the past, or probably the past 4 years, we've done an audit. We've selected a CPA firm for a 1-year period. For time saving or try to get more selection, my suggestion would be to put it out for a 3-year time period, but that's up to you. And historically, in the past, the state has been more expensive than CPA firms. So, any questions on that one?
Do we get a discount if we sign a 3-year?
There may be a possibility that they could because it's a guaranteed work schedule for them for the next 3 fiscal years. So I have not ever personally put out a bid for more than one year at a time. I know prior to me taking office, that was the practice here, is that there was a CPA firm that would come in, or I think the state, my first year here, the state was here, but they did come in for a 3-year period.
So we could
Maybe
put
we
out
could
RFP.
We could ask for a 1-year and a 3-year. Ain't hurt.
We could do that, yes. But right now, the biggest thing is the selection of having an outside firm come in because that is required by May 1st to give to the state. So we can be put in their pool, and because the state kind of compiles all that data and sends that out to CPA firms, and then they will contact you if they're interested for your RFP.
So you said by May 1st, we have to let the state know if we're going to go with them or an outside firm.
Yes, the state or an outside firm.
Okay. And then when,
Do we have time to advertise that?
We-
no, you're fine.
So the process is we let the state know, then the state compiles a list of everybody who is current or needs a fiscal year 23 audit. They will also put if you need a 24 and 25 audit as well. And then they send that information out to the qualified CPA firms in the state of West Virginia. And there's a booklet that they send you. They send you the information of how you fill out your RFP. And typically, the past practice has been we don't send out those RFPs until July 1st. Just because the year has finished, we are now in that process of getting your RFPs out and getting those selections back in.
And historically, so I guess I need clarification. So what we need to do by May 1st is let the state know, but we have more time to put than May 1st to put the RFP
Yes,
out.
so the only
Okay.
thing you all are deciding tonight is, yes, we want an outside firm to do our audit, or we would like the state to do our audit. Those are the only two, that's the decision you're making tonight.
Is there a benefit to one over the other versus, except for cost?
I think cost is is pretty much the main point. I will say that typically when the state comes in, you're looking at a 4 to 6 week process that they are in your office going through just everything. So while a CPA firm, while my time here, I have seen the previous auditors that we had, they were typically here for a 2 week time period, and they would pull all their selections at that time. When COVID hit, the process has kind of changed a little bit. The auditors that we've had for the last 3 years, they've been on site for 2 days, but we do a lot of the uploading to them. So because now we've moved a lot of our records to electronic versions, we can just shoot them emails of the stuff that they want. And then they can pick their selection and we just email everything to them. So it's not actually pulling files like we used to do.
The reason why I like to go with an outside firm versus the state, it's nothing against the state, but think about it from a taxpayer point of view. If you think we're all in cahoots together, it's nice to get another set of eyes on it that's independent of the state and of us, and it's less expensive. So I'm looking at it from a taxpayer point of view. If you look at it from the other point of view, the state can dig in a little bit more, and it's going to take them more time because you have 55 counties, and it's going to just be longer because they are like us. They've had to cut back. You only have so many men and women out there that can go do an audit. So the firms, I kind of like going with them because they're independent of us and the state. And honestly, it's more of a situation where as a taxpayer, that would fit better for me, and it's also less expensive. Those are the two things as a taxpayer. Looking from the outside in but you guys can weigh those options yourself on
Yeah,
that.
but all this is gonna do, if we make a motion to do this, is to tell the state, we're going with an outside firm.
Yeah, so you're not making a
We're not
selection
making
on an
any
audit
decision.
firm. You're not making a selection,
Yeah.
on any
Length
of
of
that.
time or
It
any of that.
is just,
To let the state know
yes,
that that's what we're doing.
and that's the only thing that's required right now.
So with this agenda item worded this way, I think we need to make sure our motion indicates that we are just.
One way or the other.
So I will make a motion that we notify the state that we will use an outside firm for our audit, at least for fiscal year '23.
Okay.
And then we can discuss that further at another item.
Second,
So the motion has been made by myself, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we will notify the state that we will be selecting an outside auditor for fiscal year '23. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Opposed? Okay. So let the minutes reflect by a 4-1 vote. 3-1. There's only 4 of us here. 3-1 vote that we will notify the state that we will be selecting an outside auditor for fiscal year '23. Item C, discussion or possible action to approve an out-of-state trip. This is for Jumping Branch Elementary to the Massanutten Indoor Water Park. I hope I pronounced that.
You didn't say that.
I've been practicing here for, this is on April 21st, 2023.
Go ahead.
Make a motion that we approve the out-of-state trip for Jumping Branch Elementary to Massanutten Indoor Water Park.
I'll second that.
Okay. Have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the out-of-state field trip for Jumping Branch Elementary to the Massanutten Indoor Water Park on April 21st. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the out-of-state trip for Jumping Branch Elementary has been approved. All right, item D, possible action, discussion, possible action to approve to repeal the following policies. So we have before us 9 policies. Did I count that right? 8 policies. 8 policies. These have all been out on the website for comments. Any comments received? Okay, and these are to repeal.
Make a motion that we repeal the 8 proposed policies.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we approve the repeal of the 8 policies listed on the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the policies have been approved for repeal. Discussion possible action to approve the following new policies. So this is 8G5, conflict of interest, and 5G10, automated external defibrillators.
And this is to put them out for comments before, or is this?
These have been out for
They've been
comment.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and any,
they're ready to be approved finally.
no comments.
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we
Go ahead.
approve these following policies.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we approve the policies 8G5, conflict of interest, and 5G10, automated external defibrillators. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that these new policies have been approved. Item F, I would make a motion that we postpone this item until the next board meeting. Mrs. Farley was the one who asked for this to be put on here, and so we'll postpone this until she's here. So I've made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will postpone that agenda item until the next meeting. We have item 9, personnel. We have before us superintendent's recommendation for resignation. We have 4 names listed there. We have.
Those 4, I'm just gonna throw it out there. You don't have to accept them,
Okay.
because those are some good people. I'm just throwing that out there. I know all 4 of them don't want me to say that, but those are good workers right there.
We have also employment professional. We have employment substitute teacher funded through county substitute fund. We have employment homebound teacher as needed. We have employment summer school teachers, employment summer service personnel, and employment summer bus operators. I would like to make a motion according to West Virginia State Code 6-9A-4, Section 2A, regarding personnel, that we go into executive session.
I'll second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that according to West Virginia Code 6-9A-4, Section 2A, regarding personnel, that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will go into executive session at 6:59. And bring your Okay. It's 7:23. We'll call this regular board meeting with Summers County Board of Education back to session. Executive session ended at 7:21. It's a long walk from that room over to here. All right, so we have before us the superintendent's recommendation for personnel. There are a few additions or modifications that we need to make here. One being for Lauren Crook, the effective date to be determined. And then with Jacob Persiani, the effective date will be 3/29/2023, and that funding source is county. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendations for personnel with the aforementioned adjustments.
And I'll second Mr. Brogan's motion. So we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Brogan, seconded by myself, that we accept the superintendent's recommendation with the two mentioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the superintendent's recommendations have been approved. And then item 10, the superintendent's report.
I put on the back of your paperwork, I just gave you a few pages that this Project Aware grant that we should be receiving from the state. We're one of 3 counties that will be receiving this. The word AWARE stands for Advancing Wellness and Resiliency in Education. This is basically like a shot in the arm for the community and school type stuff where you're looking at the social, emotional, and teen prevention of suicide. So you're looking at a grant that's mainly geared towards 6 through 12. This has some examples in here that doesn't say you have to use the grant this way. It's just suggestions of counties or LEAs across the 50 states from the federal government. I will give you more details on this, but this will be a 5-year grant that we'll receive. And what it'll do is it'll pull more resources into our county, which is a great help, especially the secondary level, to make sure our kids, you heard tonight from a parent about bullying, so we could use this program to help make an awareness towards mental health and not to pick on other kids, that type of stuff. But I will get you guys more details. This was like 80-some pages long. I figured you just need the purpose of the grant, and we can go into more detail later once I find out that we're going to receive it and then how we'll move forward. We're also going to get an after-school grant. It's called a 21st Century Grant. When I used to work at RESA, I used to be in charge of those. Jason Butcher is putting our county in the pool to get the grant from the State Department. We will do like we've been doing after-school tutoring, but this after-school tutoring adds a couple things. 1, it'll provide education. 2, it'll give them some food to be eaten, so we will have someone to prepare a meal. And 3, the kids will do some sort of activity, because the grant is talking about education, activity for students, because we have an obesity problem. And then the third one is to, make sure our children are getting looked after as a whole, to make sure they get home after school. So that grant also provides transportation. So think about all the people in our county that can get paid through this grant and continue what we've been doing with COVID on Tuesdays and Thursdays at all our sites. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. For the next 5 years, we'll have that grant as well. It starts out with quite a bit of money, $214,000 the first couple of years, but by year 5, it whittles down to $155,000. So we really need to budget for $155,000 because it's not one of those things that you can't supplant. So you have to make sure that we stay within the guidelines of that grant. So I'll give you more information as that comes forth. What we also did was we applied for the School Building Authority, the MIP, which is a major improvement project, MIP, major improvement project. We need to replace the whole roof system on the CTE building. And working with McKinley, and I know Mr. Metter last year had a team come and do an analysis of our roofing system. At this point in time, it'll probably cost around $734,896. That's 734,896. I am asking the school building authority to support us with $684,896. How did I get to that number? I'm saying we're gonna bring to the table 50,000. Guys, I went to the table with zero and got 12 million. I can't go to the table with zero. Even this might not get us the money, but having said that, the due date was last Friday. It was submitted timely. They have the information. I worked with the school building authority and with McKinley and also with Mr. Metter to make sure, and Ms. Crook, to make sure we have the funds that we could use for it, and then how much it's probably gonna cost to replace that whole roofing system, because it's been leaking quite a bit over the years.
Is that 50 or 150?
50,000.
684 to 734.
Did I do the math wrong?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Oh, thank you. I thought maybe I did.
I was just thinking that you and I had spoken about this previously, and we were saying 150. I like that number better. Trust me.
Well, you had that weird look, so that's why I took 100 off. I think it's better for us to be realistic, because here's why. Mr. Metter and I will need to give you guys an update later on a boiler system, because at that time, I didn't have a boiler problem at Jumping Branch. I now have a boiler problem. That could cost us 50 and up, because the supply chain is really out of whack when it goes to ordering stuff. And I'm not just saying that to cover my tail. I'm literally having a problem with the supply chain with a lot of different things. We will not be done with Talkit in the spring and summer. It'll be late summer, early fall now, because the supply chain, we just can't get stuff timely. I don't have anything to do with that other than I'm reporting out to you what's going on. So that's why I took some money off the table, because that's a big expense.
I should know the answer to this because I've been on the board since we've received SBA funding twice, but I don't. Do you submit that proposal and then they say yes or no, or can they counter, or how does that?
We submit it, and then in June, they will, they just say you either got the money or you didn't. That's just the process. But it doesn't mean I can't try to talk to some people. I mean, that's just politics 101. They're voting members like you all are, and you know how it works. People talk to other people, and I try to make as many friends as I can who hold the purse strings, because you pay me to make sure money comes in this county, and I would rather get that money from them than for us to use our county money. Tomorrow, we have a 2-hour delay because of professional development. It's not because I can predict the weather right now. It's because it's scheduled. It's a 2-hour delay, and I have Mr. Kuhn getting that out on our app. That's worked out pretty well for people to get information. So we do have a 2-hour delay that's scheduled tomorrow for professional development. Other than that, Mr. President. Oh.
Handle with cares.
I was going to ask about that
11
one.
o'clock tomorrow in the courtroom.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I was thinking I was going
It's
to
tomorrow,
point that out.
11,
So, yep.
Yeah. We have plenty to talk about. If you guys come as board members, just know if more than 2 come, that's fine. Just spread out, because I don't want to say, you know. But the thing is as board, you also like to be informed like you do with the School Board Association when you go to Charleston for PD. That's what it would be like. So you all are more than welcome to come at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
But am I missing anything else, Ms. Jones, Ms. Coon, Matter, Crook, Dr. Green, anything? Good? All right, I think that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Item 11, point of privilege. Ms. Harvey, we'll start with you.
I guess just an update of where Mr. McBride and I met with Mr. Warble, Ms. Crook, Ms. Jones, and Ms. Kincaid, and Mr. Coon for part of it, to discuss potential supplements, insurance issues, and out of that meeting, we brainstormed some ideas and options, and Ms. Crook put together a survey to send out to the staff for input. And out of that survey, about 61% responded to get their feedback. We reviewed the survey this afternoon with Mr. McBride, Mr. Warhol, Ms. Crook, and myself. And the next step will be to take the information from that survey into the district leadership teams as like focus groups and see more information from those impacted parties as to which way we want to go. Suggestions, proposals. And then those will be reported to the board at our next meeting. Right?
Yep. Jay will have a full report.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Mr. Brogan?
I have to be honest, I quit looking at the agenda one page too early, so I'm not prepared for point of privilege. But it's always appropriate to thank those in attendance for being here and for the jobs you do. Thanks to each one of you.
Mr. McBride?
I'd just like to say the same thing. I think our staff does a excellent job, and I know we can't always compensate them the way they deserve to be compensated, but we are working on something to try to help, and we want you to be involved in it as well. So, and I guess that's it for right now.
All right. And I was going to mention Handle with Care, but Ms. Jones took care of that for me, so thank you. I do want to comment on our retirement and resignations. I appreciate all that you all have done to work for the best of this county and our students here. It's going to be some pretty big shoes that are going to have to be filled coming forward. So again, thank you all. And Chad, congratulations to your girls. And our kids, the electrical kids that were here. What we do up here is all about the students and their future and the staff that we have in this county, and we have great staff here. So I just, again, best luck to you all. I know some of you are going to still be with us, just resigning from some of those positions, but it's a big void there that's going to have to be filled. So thank you all. Discussion of next agenda. Any items that we would like to see on here? We have one item for the wellness policy that we'll put on the next agenda. Okay, as always, if you have anything that you'd like on the agenda.
Well, I'd like if Mr. Wardle or Ms. Pavant, someone could give us an update on the AEDs.
Since we purchased more and how it's, okay.
Yeah, and where all we're gonna have them, and the training that's coming up next month.
And it sounds like we need an update on the construction with concrete.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be every meeting now until we get under roof to feel better about, because that's a huge concern.
And you can do that in your you
Yeah.
can do this in your superintendent report, but I would like to hear about the Handle with Care,
Oh, yeah.
just for the public.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well. So,
I think that'll be a great meeting tomorrow.
all right, Mr. McBride, you're on item 13.
All right, I make a motion with adjourn. The time is 7:37.